Hey, CIS 101, can you believe it? We're at the end of the semester. And with that comes the exciting task of the final reflection. And so you might wonder what that is. And so often in a semester or in life in general, you just get caught up in doing something and you move forward at light speed and you get to the end and think you're going to have time to take a breather. What really happens is you just jump into the next thing and you don't always even remember what that all was about that you just did. So for the final, I'm giving you the gift of reflection. Now, reflection isn't just a pretty image in the water, like in this picture behind me. It really is a pretty image. It's all about learning from your experiences. And as John Dewey wisely put it, we don't learn from experience, we learn from reflecting on experience. So think about that. Like the experience itself doesn't teach you much. Sitting back going, should I touch that hot stove again? No, probably not. That's where you start learning. So let's not just wrap up this semester. Let's unravel it and understand why it matters. So we're going to start off. You're going to come to the Google form. I've already filled out the first page and watched this video. And so that'll take you to the questions. And there's only 10 questions. So how hard can that be, right? It will take you some time to get it done, though. So if you think back through the semester, our journey through all of the topics that we've talked about has been nothing short of just extraordinary. From the fascinating history of the abacus to the cutting edge realms of quantum computing, we've kind of covered from A to Z, from hardware and software to social media and programming. Okay, well, that's not exactly A to Z. I had a hard time thinking about a Z, but I'm sure there's one in there somewhere. Anyhow, the question is that I'm interested in is what really stood out to you? So imagine this final reflection as your own personal time machine. Keep in mind that I'm really interested in what you think, not what you think I think. All right? I'm interested in what you think, not what you think I want you to think. Unravel that a few times. So, we're going to start off here on this form with the questions. And this top part just gives you a little bit of information, useful sentences. I would recommend creating this in a word processor so that you can do spell check and all that other good stuff. And plus, then you can sit down and work on it. And then when you're ready, you can put it all in the form. Yeah, you should definitely put a lot of thought into this and give me full answers, not just your personal opinion on some things. Tell me why and how and etc. So you're going to start off, and we did this in Zoom in week 14 by picking your top 3 topics, your top 3 things. Okay, so start off by making a list of your favorite topics. Maybe go back through the class schedule, flip through the checklists, look over the website, think about all the things we've talked about, whether it was on the schedule or not, all the things that we've done, all the technology we've learned, all the ideas we've considered, and just write down a list. Say, like, here's the top 5 or 6 things that I found the most interesting, that I'll remember the most impactful, because then that will give you a list to work with. So think of things that sparked your curiosity, the things you found the most impactful, and then you're going to talk about why they mattered. You're going to dive deep into their implications and think about how you might share this knowledge with others. So out of your list, you're going to pick your top 3. Now, what I have here are a couple of questions just to prime the pump, just to give you a little bit of format or a little bit of structure to what you might write about. And each one of these should be probably 2 paragraphs full, because what you're going to do is help me understand what you picked, what it's about, why you picked it, what you took away from it, all that good stuff. So don't use social media or LinkedIn as one of your 3, because that has its own question. So just keep that in mind. Anyhow, here's a couple of questions to help you prime the pump. So in the first part of this, a learning topic summary, you're just going to give me, here's 1, 2, 3. Here's the 3 things I'm talking about. No details, just the topics. So I made a list here for an example. And then you're going to take each one of those and give it its own, you know, so there's learning 1, learning 2, learning 3. So you're going to give each one of those their own section. And for that section, for each one, for example, for how hyperspace works, you're going to go back to this list of questions, and you're not limited to that. That's just to give you an idea. But for each separate one, you're going to write that up and put it in this form. Okay, so far so good. So you got your 3 things, top 3 things. Now we're going to jump down to this disruptive technology section. So this is going to be the part of the final that requires you to do a little bit of outside research. If you were going to write this up, well, you are going to write it up, but I would say probably it would be a page to a page and a half, maybe, by the time you get done. So it's not a long research project, but it's more than a few sentences. So what you're going to do, or what we're going to do, is dive into disruptive technology. And we've talked about a lot of that over the semester, a lot of different things. Actually, almost everything we've talked about at one point in time could be considered a disruptive technology, right? So you're going to pick something. You're going to decide, first of all, what does disruptive technology even mean? Like, is there a definition? How would you describe it? How do other people describe it? And then you're going to identify a disruptive technology that intrigues you, okay? But it has to be something different from the top 3. And it can't be social media, because that's the next question, okay? So there's 4 things it can't be, but it can be anything else. And it doesn't even have to be something we talked about in class. If you come across something else and you're like, oh, wow, that's really interesting, what are we going to do with that? You can use that for your topic. So you're going to look at, why is it disruptive? What impact does it have? What issues does it bring to the table? What do you think about that? And there's some questions here that give you some guidelines, and you have to find 2 different issues that this topic brings up, like pros and cons that are involved with technology. And finally, you have to include 2 different sources, and you're going to cite them, just like we've done all semester with citations. So I threw in EasyBib or Citation Machine. There's lots of other sites you could use to make a citation. In a nutshell, on this one, it can't just be your opinion. And you can't just throw on a couple of links that you found, okay, at the end. You have to let me know how the links relate to what you're writing, right? How did what you read inform your opinions and what you wrote? So tie it together. Make sure that's clear. All right, that's disruptive technology. Now we're going to come down to communication tools. I'm sorry, I said social media was next. It's actually next after next. After next. Anyhow, we'll get there. Don't worry. So in this communication tools, in our online journey, we've used several communication tools. Okay, we've had Moodle, we've had our class website. We've used Zoom for synchronous communications, and sometimes just for tech support. Somebody got stuck on something, we just jumped into Zoom for a few minutes and fixed it. And we've also used Discord pretty extensively. So in this question, I want to know, how did these tools impact your learning experience this semester? Did they amplify your motivation? Were they helpful in some way? So this is a section you're going to write up a paragraph and help me understand how you used the communication tools, not how I used them, how you use them, and how that was helpful or useful, or how you would do it differently, or what might make it better. Okay. Now let's jump down finally to social media. So in this social media section, there's actually 2 questions. Okay, but we'll start off with the first one. So we started off and we had a whole chapter on social media, and we talked about it quite a bit. We had some videos that involved in it, and I had you set up a LinkedIn profile, and I asked you to add people to your network so that you could start seeing how it worked. And we didn't, because of the nature of the class, we didn't have a lot of time to go into heavy detail on it. But I'm hoping that you got a little bit of a jump start on how to use LinkedIn for academic use and for building a personal learning network. So in this section, question 6, help me understand, like, how did you use it? What did you learn from it? Do you have any thoughts about it? Um, how do you think you might use it in the future? And then in number 7, I'm just asking for a recommendation here. So we used LinkedIn. In the past, I've used Twitter. Are there any other tools that might be interesting to explore for social media in a future class that might work in with the goals that we have, building networks, using it professionally in a professional context? So that's your recommendation. You'll just tell me if you have one and why. Now we're almost to the end. That was question 7. Now we're coming down to the personal reflection. So this is our final checking in, okay, between you and I. So let's get personal, okay? What went well for you in this class? Think back to the whole semester. What challenges did you face? Were there any surprises that caught you off guard in a good way or a bad way? What were your favorite class moments? And what were some areas for improvements? And do you have any lingering questions? Kind of spill the beans on this one. This is your chance to give me the inside scoop on how the whole semester went for you. Now, whoops, wrong direction. Coming down here. So there's your questions, so checking in. So number 9 is your main takeaway. And in your main takeaway, this is an interesting section because kind of what I want you to do is imagine, I don't know, you're a year in the future or 5 years in the future, and you bump into somebody else that's going to be going to our college, right? And they want to take this class, but they know you took it. And so they're going to ask you, like, can I ask you a couple of questions? They want to know, what was the class all about? Like, what was this class? And so just give them one sentence. This class was, whatever you think it is. And then they get really curious because that was an interesting sentence. And they want to know, okay, can you help me understand that? And so unpack your one main takeaway from the whole semester into a paragraph or two and let them glimpse into your CIS 101 journey. Okay. So one sentence, one paragraph. It's a little bit of a take on what we did in Zoom every time, one word, one sentence. And so help them understand what CIS 101 was to you. Now, our final question, and this loops us all the way back to the beginning, right? Do you remember in the beginning when I had you read that document that had all the advice from previous students, and I said, pick out a couple of things that you think will be interesting and helpful and useful? Now it's your turn to pay it forward. So to those future students up ahead who are going to take this class, what advice would you give them? You've conquered projects, you've embraced activities, you've engaged in the class. We're here at the end. What wisdom could be the compass guiding them through this educational adventure next time around? So those are the 10 questions, and that's a lot of writing. I totally get it. There is an option to do a video response. If you do the video response, you have to clearly delineate which question you're responding to. And you have to make sure that in some manner, you give me all the same information, including if there's sources, however you do that, whether it's with a slide or you decide. You can do a video response. You can choose to video response to some questions and write out other questions. All I would ask is that in the form, if you're doing a video response to a certain question, just write video response in the form. So that way you can submit it and I know it's coming. And so this is where you put the link. And just like we've done on all the other videos, either upload it to YouTube or Google Drive. Make sure you shared it properly. It can be an unlisted video, but it has to be shared with me so that I can watch it, right? And this is where you'll put the link here. So there you have it. You have a reflection that dives deep into the heart of our journey through technologies and ideas, through implications and impacts. It's been an exciting semester. We've covered a lot of interesting things. So take the time to go through the questions, Write down your thoughts in a Google Doc. This isn't just a final assignment. It's really kind of a celebration of all the growths and discoveries you've made, of all the learning that has happened. And I really can't wait to dive into your insights. This is one of my favorite parts of the whole semester. I feel like I say that every week, and I feel like I say that every week, but it really is true. This is one of my favorite parts. And so I can't wait to read this. And I thank you for being a part of this incredible learning adventure this semester. Your presence has truly made this semester memorable in lots of interesting ways. I should do my own reflection, right? So happy reflecting, and I hope to see you at your next chapter. See you later.